I'm very happy to have 4 experts here on stage. Maybe for some people who are not that familiar with the German Hub initiative, we from Bitkom founded some years ago this initiative together with the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs. And yeah, so I think we have now the chance to dig deeper a little bit about growing ecosystems in Germany. I think also in the morning we already talked a little bit about the importance of well-working ecosystems. And yeah, maybe we start with the host here from Berlin. I think it's pretty clear that Berlin is a is a hotspot for startups. I think you attract a lot of talent here in Berlin. What makes Berlin so special for startups? Just very in general, yeah.
Yes, well, thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here. So it's regularly 3 points. The first thing is, yes, Berlin developed in an amazing way the last 5 years. I think 10 years ago, nobody took care about Berlin. That changed rapidly. And that's why, at first one, people are going where the talents are. Every city is advertising for talents. Every city has universities and schools and whatever. But honestly, it's what you're making out of it. And the thing is, we are number 3 worldwide, for example, for the visa success process. So the whole topic, business immigration service, to get non-Europeans, software developer, for example, whatever, to come to Berlin. It's nowhere so easy to get them attracted like Berlin. Yeah, you can go to Paris, you can go to London, for example. It'll take you around about 3-4 months to get a work permit for them. And we solve this problem, we can guarantee 5 working days. And that's some advantages where the talents say, okay, if I can get in 5 days to a city like Berlin, that's great. Yeah, if compared to Paris or London, it will take 3, 4, 5 months to get the same permission. The second one is people are going where the money is. Yeah, if you see the Ernst Young studies, I think 3 or 2 months ago, around about 60% of all funding, closed funding rounds, done by Berlin startups. Yeah, and from these Berlin startups, the half are not Germans. They're very international driven. They're from all over the world, come to Berlin, founding their companies, and then growing and going internationally wide. Even the fintech sector, it's really, really focused in Berlin concerning the fintech technology, not banks, but to the digital skills. So at that point, maybe the most exciting point beside a huge economy framework that's set up, like we have 120 co-working hubs, so it's not a problem to get some seats in the city. Yeah, the city is like Munich, Frank. All the cities are very close. We have very few free spaces, but all the big corporates like WeWork, like Mindspace, Sosa, like Rent24, they're opening co-working space so that you are able to get access to the scene, get access to these places to work and get connected to a huge community. And that's what all the big corporates figured out. So we have around 65 incubators, accelerators are driven by corporate companies who are not headquartered in Berlin. And that's maybe some development that 10 years ago nobody would have expected.
Okay, so you hope that more and more headquarters will also move to Berlin in the future, or are you happy that like all these accelerator programs, these innovation labs are here in Berlin, or what is your like kind of vision?
Honestly, I do not think that any headquarter will move from, for example, Munich to Berlin. Why they should do that? Yeah, we want to create some new headquarter. Yeah, honestly. Yeah, they're satisfied in their home cities, home countries. There's not getting some moved headquarter. We want to have some new headquarter, like Zalando. Yeah, from a startup to a worldwide champion headquarter, Berlin, but international successful. That's maybe the best aim we have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe then we move to Sebastian from Frankfurt. I think Frankfurt is a very well known and also traditional place of the banking industry. Is it easy for you to attract talent to a traditional place? Because on the one hand, maybe you're often confronted with negative messages from the old corporates, or is it for you still an advantage that you have so many well-established banks in Frankfurt?
Well, the talent issue is really a very important one. So I fully agree. Where the talents are, you will find the startups, the tech companies going there. But in terms of like bad messages, negative messages, like impacting negatively the Frankfurt ecosystem, I don't think so. And I think every ecosystem has to find its or build on its strengths, right? As we can see for the last 3 to 5 years, the financial services industry is opening up. Yeah? It's opening up because there's more pressure. There are now big techs coming into the space. So there's actually a lot of pressure in finding new business models, in opening up, in thinking more about how to partner with the speedboats, with young companies, and that's also a huge opportunity. And we can see that over the last 2-3 years, where TQ is now operating, we see that most partnerships have been done through Frankfurt. There was a recent study from PwC that's showing like the number of corporations and partnerships, and not surprisingly, you have a lot, in particular in the banking environment in Frankfurt. So it's still that, and also the Berlin startups, I mean, they are coming to Frankfurt and vice versa. So I'm personally not somebody who's like arguing for or against Frankfurt or Berlin. It's really something where ecosystems are very complementary, and supporting each other. So I just think that Frankfurt can build on its early traction. It's still a quite young ecosystem in terms of startups, in terms of really investing and curating the community, but with a lot of opportunities. In particular, if we go outside of the city center and include the region with Rhein-Main, where you have a lot of tech, technology know-how and tech talent. So I think it's a huge opportunity. We are growing very fast.
Okay, so you would rather say that it's not a confrontation between the cities, so that you also can cooperate.
No, I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's really not about Berlin or Frankfurt. It's great to have Berlin, right? We need Berlin, but I think it needs also Munich. It needs Cologne. It needs Frankfurt to have a vibrant and healthy ecosystem, right? Because in the end, we would like to influence the European tech scene, right, and contribute to that. Because in the end, we would like to have something stand against maybe China and the US and have some answers, right? And that's only through collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe we come to the insurance industry. Munich is very well known for its global players, Allianz and Munich Re, but I think many people do not know that there are also many mid-sized insurers. What makes Munich so special especially for insurance experts? And what do you're also the managing director of the InsurTech hub in Munich. What do you provide for InsurTechs?
So you're right. The city is known for its large corporates like Allianz, Munich Re, Generali, and others, but we also have some local champions. But I prefer to see it from a kind of other way. So Munich is a super nice city. I like all other cities. It's not in competition. It's like the beauty of Munich is we are very close to the Alps. We have our Oktoberfest. We have great beer. So the city life. So Munich is a great city. I love the other cities. No doubt about that. And beside the large corporates and the international players and the local champions, I think the advantage we have is that we have the industry, not only the insurance industry, but also other industries, so like BMW, Siemens, and so on. So the cross-industry, I think, where does real innovation come from? It normally doesn't come from an industry itself. And I believe that it comes from cross-industry collaboration, and there we have a great advantage, because we have many, many large international players there as well.
Cool.
Beside the beer.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget the beer, of course. I have to admit that I'm originally from Munich, so I really have to admit that the Bavarian beer is very, very good. But sometimes I'm also in Cologne. The beer from Cologne is not that much in my interest, but okay. But let's come to the ecosystem in Cologne. Herbert, you are representative of the InsurLab Germany, which is located in Cologne. Was only founded 2 years ago. After 2 years, what's your first resume? And yeah, maybe you also already have some learnings after 2 years.
Yes, I have a lot of learnings. First, I do not like the beer as well. Secondly, my learning for today is Germany is great. So I'm original from Austria, and Munich is great, Berlin is great. But there is also Hamburg and Leipzig, and it's a pulsating ecosystem here. We are now based in Cologne and have the InsurLab Germany in Cologne. And one learning is we started 2 years ago with 12 members, and now we are having 77 members. 32 of them are insurance companies. So my first learning is there is a big demand, a very huge demand of, getting involved in digitalization innovation. There's a lot of interest. Second, and this was really a learning because my previous job was working for the CEO of one big German insurer, and there everything was, of course, quite top secret. But my learning now is people talk to each other. People want to collaborate. Companies want to collaborate with other companies, and InsurTechs, they're super open to that. And I think that the third learning, the third resume is there are, like we have outside, there are tons of ideas, solutions, InsurTechs, companies out there who want to help those ecosystem, those insurers, and they are getting flooded with ideas, and they need really persons who help them to solve out which is good and which is not that good. And I think the big ones have like innovation departments who can do that, and the middle-sized companies need more help in that from outside, and there we could support.
Okay, but you would also say that it's not like that your InsurLab or that ecosystem itself, they are not only important for medium-sized insurers or smaller banks, but you think also that it's very important that also the large ones have to talk to the small ones and so on?
Totally. I think it's relevant for every player in the scene. So I can't just talk about myself, but I know Ergo and Munich Re quite well because I worked for them, and they're located in Munich, and I think they're all facing the same problem the whole ecosystem is having, and that's why, of course, they should talk to each other and collaborate. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
May I quickly add something? So an ecosystem consists, from my perspective, out of more players. It's universities, which are important, governments. So in your ecosystem, it's much more than just corporates and startups.
Totally.
But do you want to add something?
No, it's just...
Okay, also because my question would be, do you think, or do you see enough support from government? No, but do you see enough support, or could there be more, or what is missing in your perspective?
There could always be more. So if you can open doors, happy, please do so. So yes, we always need money. We always need support, for sure.
But is it maybe also to the other ones? Is it just the money, or do we also need more improvement? Maybe, for example, in the structure of universities, or for example.
I mean, in terms of private support for TQ, for example, there's no public support, right? So it's a purely privately financed organization, also for profit, right? So there needs to be some market demand for what we are offering. On the other hand, if you want to build or create or contribute to an ecosystem, it has to be orchestrated in a way. And that's normally the government which should do it, right? But sometimes, you know, like this new way of thinking, ecosystems is quite a new term, right? And the dynamics and the parameters are not so clear to everybody who is like actually designing the rules. So there we had actually an interesting input. We created a master plan for the region to show if we want to excel, right, and speed up the whole process of collaborating, of bringing the right people together, we need universities to play a role, we need the VCs, we need a different way of marketing and talking about what we're doing. And for that we derived like 20 measures to help the government, which is a very fruitful exchange now, because we have established ourselves as a trusted partner. So we can take some influence, we can talk about it, and I think that was very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, from the perspective of Berlin, I don't like any influence from the governmental side. Okay. Honestly, they have to develop themselves. And that's nobody want to hear that, but Berlin developed in a way because the government don't influence into the scene. It didn't do anything, yeah? It was all about the scene, come out of the scene. You have the Rocket Internet company. I'm very thankful for them as they built up in Berlin. Would they have done it in Munich, Munich would be maybe as a place Berlin is today, yeah? Because there are some private initiatives that's working, that's growing, that's running. I'm a little bit afraid of that the governmental side could destroy this ecosystem, yeah, on a way that's not really healthy. If I take a look how the cities are debating, discussing what's the right way to do it, maybe we should put more the look onto the Germany as one digital hub. I've been in Paris last week to VivaTech. Macron is running for the ecosystem for whole France. Yeah, we are discussing what can do Munich, Frankfurt, what can the local government do, what can the federal government do. Honestly, that's why we joined the DHub initiative, because it's the first time that the government or the federal state is doing something, especially, one of you mentioned it, against a competitor in Asia, in the US, yeah, honestly, because it's not about competition between Munich and Berlin or Frankfurt and Berlin and Munich, it's about how to compete with Paris, for example, who are very ahead of whole Germany, whole France at the moment.
Yeah, but let me add one thing, if I'm allowed.
Of course.
So, yeah, there's the DIGIFIN initiative, and I think this could be a very good one, because they are now connected, and I think it's important that they are connected, because, as you mentioned, that there's one ecosystem. So startups are coming from Hanover, Berlin, Munich. They're coming to all of us. So and also you can pivot them to other topics like bank insurance or e-health. It's quite a quite good overlaps. And now is the time that the DE hubs show that we can work together and build one phalanx again, like Asia or other ones who want to enter the market. And I think that's the biggest fear in my sector.
Yeah. Okay. So all of you will probably say it's not Frankfurt against another city or whatever, so, and it's not Germany against France, so it's rather Europe against the growing ecosystems, for example, in China, Asia, US, or what's your perspective?
Perhaps. I mean, one of our main interests, because these are also our clients, customers, and sponsors, of course, to help the corporates, right? And one of the services we provide is like we scout globally for interesting solutions and technology, right? So this is one of our main offerings, right? Identifying right solutions and then bring them to Frankfurt, match them, and start like partnerships, right? Guide them on this way. And I think this is where, of course, in a way, competing with many others, but maybe only temporarily, right? Because this startup, which might be then a super fit in Frankfurt, might be also super fit in Munich and Berlin and in Paris, wherever. Right? It's really about creating an attractive environment where we solve the problems and the challenges of our partners. And we don't do it anymore or any longer only in the financial space. We do it now for many other industries. And I think, and you mentioned that, diversity is so important. Because I think the learning from other industries that are maybe more ahead or behind, this is where there's also very fruitful exchange and a lot of learning going on, right? Because it's not only always the vertical or the startup corporate collaboration, it's also sharing insights between corporates, right? Where a hub can really help, right? And
what industry would you see the financial industry can learn the most from? Do you see there any which are number one or a good role model, for example?
Yeah, I mean, there are some other industries that have more experience with like the whole digital transformation. There are a few, but it's not that the financial services are not on this topic, right? It's more about like learning from other solutions from other industries. For example, we have worked with one regional soccer club for a while, and there was also a payment issue, right? So there are some cross linkages, right? If you look at like agriculture, there are also linkages. In particular, if you take into account that like cross sector technologies like AI and others play a role. So there are linkages, and I think the more we have, the more diverse the insight and solutions, the better you can learn from it, right? So that's why we have these different acceleration programs and products.
I think the advantage we have as finance or insurance hubs, both industries are enablers. So we are enabling things to happen, and therefore we can kind of piggyback on ideas from others. So I'm not jealous about like the automotive industry or any other industry. So we have our goal to fulfill. We have our mandate. There's a good reason for having banks and insurers, and we are enabling things. So therefore, we are in a very nice and comfortable situation at the end.
Okay. Yeah, we've already talked before about orchestrating ecosystems, or sometimes also setting up new ecosystems. And you also said you don't want to have the government.
I'm half government, so that's a point.
Yeah. But would you say there hasn't been any plan in the past that Berlin is in the situation how they are now?
I have to think about my words I know using. So honestly, no. At that point, I'm independent from all.
We are growing
from all politicians. So no, honestly, and that's what I'm talking about. If each panel is, there was no master plan, there was no plan anymore in last years in Berlin. So it was huge. It was huge. It was empty space, and the startups jumped in. The creative, crazy guys jumped in and fulfilled these rooms, the buildings, whatever. So it developed completely without any plan, without any influence. So what I'm happy about, because Berlin slept a lot of times during some developments, and for the first time they listened to the startup. Hey, what do you need to grow? What do you need to expand? What do you need to be successful? And that is maybe the point where governmental structures can jump in. Yeah, if they ask a startup, okay, what are your heartburns, your heart buttons? What do you need to be successful? The first thing is Berlin has no big headquarters concerning corporate companies. So the first question was, please connect us to Munich, to Hamburg, to all the big headquarters to get our digital solution coming to the corporate companies. So that changed the way the corporate companies are now doing the innovation stuff in Berlin too, not only in their home cities. We are asking, okay, what about the talent factor? Yeah? And that's why we developed this business migration service, to have the 5 days guarantee that they can, their Russian developer, get into their companies to grow. Nobody can wait a startup for 5-6 months for developer. You are dead at the point. Yeah? And the last one is, hey, please help us to go abroad. Because the German home market, I don't know, if you take a look into traditional industry, they are dealing with the Dachmarke, yeah? Germany, Austria, Switzerland, yeah? If you see the international startups in Berlin, they're not looking anymore to Austria, they're looking to the United States, to Western Europe, to Chinese market. That's why we set up and founded an own collaboration network with other cities, because to repeat it, our competitors are not in Germany. There are the big hubs like New York City, like Tel Aviv, like Paris, like Shanghai, like Beijing. And with all the cities, we set up a network So if we can exchange our startup, we set up programs, acceleration programs, whatever. We have huge venture capital network set up for that, so that we can talk to venture capitalists from Asia market. Hey, do you want to invest maybe in a Berlin startup, whatever. So that's maybe not this nation to nation thinking, it's more hub to hub thinking. And that's what I'm a little bit missing in Germany at all. Yeah, because always are focusing on the surroundings, on the local ecosystems. I think it's more.
Okay. So you would say that cooperation and exchange is the key to be successful in the future?
Learning from the best. The Tel Aviv guys, 3 months after founding, they're going abroad because they're forced to. And you can learn from them how to expand really, really quick nationwide. Yeah, there's founding, 3 months later, funding, going to States, going to Germany, going to France, going to Great Britain, wherever, and being successful.
Herbert, I know that you like that the InsurLab Germany also has a cooperation with the guys from Israel. Maybe you want to share some insights from Israel, how they are working, or maybe what's the difference to our way of working?
Yes. We thought about it that in establishing the hub in Cologne, that we would need an international partner. And we focused on the Israeli guys, Sosa Fintilvi, because the ecosystem there is working exactly like you said. The guys from there founding, and then they have to go to other markets. So the startups there are super keen to get in touch with our corporates, to collaborate with them, because in Tel Aviv, there is not such an ecosystem we have. They can go to tourism, they can go to bank, but I think that, or government, that's it. So that's why they come to here. And our learning with Sosa Fintilvi is quite good. We have really to say that there is a language barrier in the German insurance market. So English is sometimes a problem, not in the top management, but in the middle management, there is sometimes a problem with that. All in all, it's really beneficial for both sides, and we're happy that we have this collaboration.
Yeah. Manuel, I know from the InsurTech Hub in Munich that you had over 160 applications for your last batch, I think from all continents, and I think the 10 startups you decided, they are also from 3 or 4 continents. I'm not that sure, but you also have a new partner from Japan, so that it's a really international, or the Munich ecosystem gets more and more international. What are your learnings when you work, for example, with a large insurer from Japan or with InsurTechs from other continents?
At the end, innovation doesn't stop at the Bavarian border to Austria. Even if some governments hope that it would be like that way, it's not. At the end, we want to attract the most interesting startups, the most interesting ideas to come to our hub to partner with our industry partners. I'm not thinking in this kind of countries or continents, where are they coming from. So we want to attract the best partners, our industry partners are interested and want to see the best ideas, the best tech companies, startups in the world, and that's exactly what we want to do. You mentioned we had 163 applications from all continents worldwide, so I think we made a quite decent job.
So we don't have to discuss on the national level anymore, and next year we will have representatives from maybe Israel or maybe from Asia. I see that's maybe more important. Sebastian, you wanted to add something?
Yeah. So one observation from our side. So we had now interactions with 340 startups from 20 nations. And the one thing I would really wish for Germany, for everybody who's involved in the ecosystem, is that we dare to think bigger and bolder. So I liked the presentation this morning. You know, we need more of this, like really disrupting industries, changing things, and then not being punished if you fail, right? So that would be the wrong reaction. I think that we can learn a lot from Tel Aviv. We can learn a lot from Shanghai. We can learn a lot from the US. And I think that's where also hubs can help to fuel this kind of thinking through these diverse programs, acceleration. We bring them in. So most of them are, outside of Frankfurt. The participants from all over the world, right? They come, but they bring a different mindset in here, and I think that's very important. And if our founders in Germany, also in universities and perhaps even at schools, get to know or get more familiar with this kind of thinking, then I'm not afraid.
But do you have any explanation why like many Germans, for example, are that shy and are not, as maybe Julian Teike presented WeFox this morning?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have more and more, and it shows that this is nothing that is ingrained in our genes. It's more a matter of role models and being exposed to a certain ecosystem where these kind of beliefs are supported by investors, supported by peers, supported, by media, and that's something where we still can go a little more, right? And you see there are ecosystems that have been growing amazingly. Berlin for the last 5 to 10 years, right? These were the Summer brothers that brought this kind of mindset from the valley, right? And there are others. You have really cool development in Munich. You have more and more out of Frankfurt that have experienced this kind of mindset and get supported. In the end, it's not through LinkedIn contacts that you understand how blitzscaling works. So you really have to be part of such an ecosystem, have friends, really know what this is all about, get the tacit knowledge, right? Not the explicit knowledge. It's not that we study this, right? You have to do it, right? So, and I think this is something that cannot work overnight, right? It takes a little, and so it's good that we have already some more mature ecosystems in Germany, some that are growing fast, some youngers that will catch up. But as long as we think about that and dare to change the world, then I'm not afraid, because everything else is here, right?
Definitely. As we are almost running out of time, maybe we do a last quick round. Every one of you has one wish available for their hub. So, Herbert, maybe you start with the wish for the InsurLab Germany in Cologne.
For our hub. So, of course, the beer would be better. But I would love that the traction we have is still ongoing. I think it will be. We want to grow a bit more, of course, and want to have more traction in the market. And like we solved and had last year, real projects, real solutions, and bring the ideas to the market.
Okay.
So we have the beer already, so therefore that's something we have. My wish would be in a few years' time that Munich is at least in Europe, the center for InsurTechs, that every startup which wakes up in the morning and thinks of the insurance industry is coming to Munich. Maybe not even in Europe, but if possible, to ask for a wish, then worldwide.
Great ambition, yeah.
So for next 2 years, 1,000 startups, 100 corporate partners, and I would say in the long term that the core of the financial industry of continental Europe will be Frankfurt.
Cool. Christian?
Yes, maybe being a few years ahead of some other cities. It's more about to get more venture capital for the companies that are able to grow in whole Germany, and that we may stop talking about cities. Honestly, let get 1, 2, 3 cities who are ahead of the other cities, helping them, gone abroad, doing together something. It's more about digital Germany than about digital Berlin, digital Frankfurt, whatever, because you can find fintechs even other cities who are not a hub like Frankfurt and Berlin for fintech companies. They're also in Hamburg and maybe in Leipzig, I don't know.
So to conclude, especially in times of these today, we can say that the future of us lies in Europe. I think that's what we all 5 here on stage can agree on. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.